So once again, I thought it was really cool to be able to see how you guys do things basically from scratch and take it all the way into production. Once again, you guys make your own extrusions, whereas some other companies buy extrusions and then paint it. You guys actually fabricate your own extrusions, put that through, and then also paint them in-house. You know, it's really cool for me to see maybe a couple hundred extrusions on a conveyor belt, you know, being held by hooks, basically being dragged around, and then they're all being painted. So that's obviously the vertical painting station. Can you talk to me a little bit about the horizontal painting stations?
No, first of all, we're super grateful that you mentioned that, and we're super happy that you got like the opportunity like to see everything, because it's different like actually like explaining and like watching live what's going on inside of the factory, which is beautiful. So in terms of our capacity, we have our liquid painting line, which is that one of the conveyor belt, which is basically an all integrated, all included process. When I say all included, is the pre-coating, which is the chrome, which is super important for the adherence of the paint and has vital anti-corrosive properties. Then the primer.
This is where you guys, where it's almost like there were stations of some liquid. The material came in, dropped into that liquid, came out for a certain amount of time, went to the next one, dropped in. There were probably like 6 or 7 banks or something like that.
You're right. And in between each of those, we have like sections where we cure, which is basically applying heat, making sure that the coating sticks and adheres better. So it's all automated. And that day when you went over there, we saw how it was all moving, basically extrusions hanging and going station by station and after station in a process that can be 2 hours, 15 minutes, 3 hours approximately, and in which the last station is going to end. We're gonna have people from quality control receiving and double checking and performing tests to make sure that the quality and the process was well like performed.
Nice. That whole process, basically the purpose behind it is to make sure that the paint adheres and to make sure that you guys can adhere by your warranties, obviously.
Always. And after that, we need to take a sample per batch, and we send the sample to a quality control testing lab, and we perform 12 different tests, all of them with good scores to be able to dispatch. If we don't have that with good scores, we won't dispatch.
So that won't move forward.
Never. And the process that you guys know that the next station will be the assembly line of the windows, where we receive all the extrusions.
Awesome. You know, something that was really cool to see, once again, with you guys fabricating your own glass. I was always curious. The impact glass is a layer of glass, the inner layer, another layer of glass.
You're right.
But then when you insulate that glass, there's a space and an additional layer. That space is filled with argon gas. Can you tell me a little bit about that process and how you keep the glass sealed and you don't lose the argon inside?
Yeah, so in that process, our main idea is basically making that the temperature of the outside of the building doesn't interfere with the temperature of the inside. So, as you mentioned, we basically make sure that we have a dead space between 2 layers of glass. The best way of doing that is including a spacer, which can be aluminum, can be from a plastic product called TPS, thermoplastic spacer, or can be stainless steel. The most common one, or the most commercial one, is the aluminum one. And basically in that one, we need to know the dimensions of the system or the dimensions of the 2 layers of glass. And we basically build a squared or rectangular frame, we can say, because it's super slim frame. And in the inside of this frame, which is of aluminum, the inside is going to be filled with silica sand, helping a lot with the humidity, to make sure that this difference of the temperature won't create any amount of condensation, basically, and maintain the whole system dry. As soon as we have the square or the rectangle ready, what we're gonna do is to apply a product called butyl, which is a silicon. We can say it's a product that actually enables the pasting of the spacer into one of the 2 panels, panel A or B, because always it's going to be the panel 1 spacer and panel 2. So as soon as we have that pasted, the next station is going to be a press machine, which is basically a place where we're gonna have a chamber, a closed chamber, that as soon as we introduce one of the panels with the spacer pasted and the second one, we're going to assure ourselves or verify that the entrance and the exit are going to be fully sealed, so that we have the ability, or that we have opportunity to fill up the complete chamber with argon gas. As soon as we do it, what we do is literally grab panel A, which is the one with the spacer, and bring the other one and do like this, and close and capture, as if we were capturing a butterfly, basically. We stay there for a minute, applying heat, and we make sure that the system is fully sealed, because the butyl activates with the heat. And basically after that, we're gonna have a closed system, which is going to be glass, spacer, glass. In between both of the glass panels, with the spacer, we're gonna have the argon gas, and we will only be missing the last station, which is covering all the sideline or all the perimeter of the system with silicone, sealant basically.
It's super interesting, and even in my house, I have ES sliders. Sometimes you do things and you look back and you're like, I messed up, I should have done the right thing. I did not insulate my glass sliders. Yeah. We've put some money into the backyard, it's a nice view, and every morning, you know, it's hot in Miami, just like it's hot in Barranquilla. We run the air conditioning very low.
I feel you.
So in the morning we have condensation and it kills me. I could have just insulated those panels and I'd wake up every morning and see my backyard versus having the condensation. It's really cool to be able to just see that whole process from my end and from the user's end, or from the end user, which is the homeowner. They have no idea. They just see a window that's finished, but they don't know all the science, all the chemicals,
and the value added.
All the value add. Until it's too late, until somebody's like, hey, my new windows and doors have condensation. I think a lot of other companies, we try to do a very good job of explaining these things like, hey, do you currently have this problem? You're going to want this solution. Whereas some other companies are just like, hey, buy impact windows, and we're not considering like the person's lifestyle or what conditions they have in their own home. So yeah, it's super cool.
That's amazing. Also, like educating like the customer with all that we have in the company, and them like knowing if you have this, you're gonna have this benefit. And that's amazing. And that's connected to your idea of actually being able to explain that to the customer.
Customer experience is huge, and it's a huge investment. Windows and doors in somebody's house.
For sure.
Imagine you spend minimum, I said before, $15,000 on new impact windows and doors, and for an extra couple $1,000s, all your windows don't have condensation. It's a nice value add, and a lot of homeowners don't know what's available to them until it's too late. And if somebody already spent first $15,000, they don't want to spend another 15 plus the cost of that. I mean, it even goes to say with low E products, we have a lot of Florida rooms. You know, somebody has their original house, they do an addition where it's like a family room or a closed-in patio, and the sun hits those areas directly. And it's one of those things where you walk into a different room of the house.
It feels different.
Yeah, you just feel the heat radiating there. However, if they add SB70, if they insulate the glass, I mean, it just like changes it. And it's literally one day to the next. Like, walk into that room before the windows are done, you feel the heat. Literally, we install the windows that same day, if not the next day. You walk into that room and it's a completely different space.
100%.
It's super cool,
And that's our idea with ES, like finding like the exact needs of the customer and being able to fulfill them always.
Yeah, solution.
And the factory that we have is the best for that, because we can customize everything.
That's beautiful. I love being able to provide a solution. I hate being able to, especially as professionals, people come to us with problems hoping to resolve.
Like being an advisor, a consultant, basically.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's where a lot of window companies miss the ball, is that they're not getting into those specific things because either they don't know or they don't care, or they're just not explaining the benefits of certain products. So going back into the extrusions and how you chemically treat the extrusions to be able to make the paint adhere better. Can you talk to me a little bit about, like, off the top of your head, it doesn't have to be perfect, but just what some of those different stations are?
Okay, so in terms of liquid and powder paint, it's vital for us applying a pre-coating process called dichroming. Why? Because this one is a product that basically enables the extrusion, the aluminum extrusion, to have better adherence properties for the paint, or like prepares the aluminum, like the surface, to receive the paint. So it opens like the pores, and basically the process of painting will be way better, and we're gonna have like a layer that is fully adhered to the surface of the aluminum, always. Also, for the purpose of having anti-corrosive properties is vital, because the chrome also has like this extra performance and helps a lot the aluminum to disable like oxidation and corrosion to happen on the surface, always.
A lot of our clients are coastal. It's actually funny, Central Florida, figure the main areas of Florida, it's kind of...
A peninsula.
Yeah, exactly, okay, you're there with me. So it's a peninsula. Typically, the center of the state doesn't get hit, or it doesn't get hit hard with storms. So in my head, I always thought there's not going to be people that are interested in impact glass and impact windows. But because there's been so much growth in the industry, price difference between non-impact and impact, and the benefits are so much more on the impact side, we're starting to see a lot of people in Central Florida switch to impact windows and doors. So going back to pairing the metals for anti-corrosion, a lot of our clients are coastal. The salinity in the water, the salinity in the air. If you leave like a barbecue grill outside, you obviously do. After a couple of years, if you're not taking care of it, it just turns to rust. That's really cool that you guys are obviously trying to make your products last as long as possible.
And the factory will have state-of-the-art like process in which our pre-coating is vital, and if we don't perform like a good pre-coating process, we won't paint. That's like the first step always, that pre-coating.
That's what was really cool for me to see during the tour, was that there are so many steps in quality control that I didn't even think of, where it's just like extrusions have a quality control checkpoint, preparation pre-painting has a quality control checkpoint, after painting has a quality control point. You know, it's just like so many quality control points along the way, but at the same time, if not, then if they don't have that, then at the end of the day, by the time we receive the products, there's going to be a lot of problems. And actually, there's a manufacturer, I won't say who, but they are outside of the US. I'll even go as far to say as they're in Europe. Quality control is a big issue. They have some beautiful products, but the quality control is not anywhere near where you guys are. That's a terrible thing, is that we and the homeowner have to wait a certain amount of time, the lead time for the products to arrive. And if they arrive damaged or scratched or dented or issue with the glass, the homeowner's been waiting a month or 2, 3 months at some points for their products, and then for them to receive it and we can't install it because there's an issue, is disheartening. So that's one thing I love about ES, is that we haven't really had any issues. And if we do have any issue, it's resolved quickly, which is also very important.
100%.
I was talking to, I think, Carlos, saying like that's the biggest thing, is the customer experience, and us being able to service those customers as fast as possible makes us look great and allows us to have a great relationship with the client, because they see us as reliable, dependable,
100%.
responsive, things like that.
And with us, like being a one-stop shop and having everything here, that's like the main advantage, like being able to keep track of the quality control in each of the checkpoints and in each of the steps.
Exactly.
That's a huge advantage.
Yeah. No,
100%.
It's interesting for me, once again, dealing with the end user, call it standard options, white and bronze. My problem, what I talk to people about is I love white because white typically doesn't fade. However, white does get dirty. I love the look of bronze. It's very clean, elegant, beautiful looking. My concern, or I've seen with other windows, is over time, 10 years, 20 years, 30 years down the line, that the bronze will fade, whereas the white won't really fade. Maybe it'll get like a little chalky or something like that. What does ES do in their process to help prevent UV fading?
So basically what we do every single time after we receive a batch of extrusions that we just painted, in liquid paint or in powder paint or in anodization, is that we take a sample. And that sample needs to go to a testing lab in which we perform 12 different tests. One of those tests is about the adherence, and basically we try to peel out and see if the paint peels out with basically a tape, like an industrial tape. Always we have like a minimum and maximum, and we need to have that test under that like parameter always. We have a field test of that sample. We need to call a second sample. So basically every single time we have failed test, we cannot dispatch. We will assure that each of the batches or each of the groups of extrusions need to have literally a sample that passed all the tests, including adherence tests, color tests, gloss tests, impact tests, everything. So it's really like reassurance for us, like to have these and to have the samples there, laying there like for 6 months or even a year, so that if we need to go back and double check how the test performed, we can double check. Also, the scores will be there like for 15, 20 years.
And as far as UV testing, that's part of the 12-step system?
That's gonna be more about the glass. In terms of the UV, it's going to be more part of the process of the coating. After the coating, we have literally 2 scanners, one that scans all the quality and all the reflectiveness, the color of the coating. And we also have a test, which is with a sample. Every single hour that we need to have, we will take it to literally like a mini oven that simulates like the tempering, and we will need to explore and like analyze the color, because after tempering we have a different color than after the coating. And our final product is a product that is coated but also tempered. So we also check everything in advance, and as we were saying about the checkpoints, in each of our processes, in each of our factories, we have a lot of checkpoints, and one of them is a UV.